So, hello everybody, welcome back to another episode. I'm back with Milind today. So, a lot of people who know him, people who watch MTV Roadies for sure will know him. So, Milind is an MTV Roadies real hero and the founder of Camp Diaries. So, again, thank you very much, Milind. It's my pleasure to have you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I think it's we're looking. I was looking for this for a while, and then you joined me. So again, thank you very much for that. So why don't you start? Start with introducing yourself. It would be great.
Sure. So I'm an ex-IT guy turned social worker. I used to work in the IT sector for about 2.5 years. Parallelly, I started volunteering with an NGO, Make a Difference, which allowed me to work with orphanages and shelter homes. And that is where I kind of found another passion, and it was to work with children from the lower income communities and work on ground rather than just donate. So I applied to the Teach for India Fellowship, and the same year I also applied to a few MBA colleges such as IIMs, XLRI. Well, luck was in my favor and effort was in my favor, so both worked out. And I chose Teach for India Fellowship because I was young. Well, I'm still young, but I was I was maybe 25ish, and it was an age where you can take risks. It's an age where you can choose things that are harder and unconventional. So I chose the Teach for India Fellowship, which would allow me to work on ground in a government school for 2 years. And during my fellowship, I identified a lot of problems in the community with the children and a lot of issues. And to address those issues, I started coming up with one project after the other. And Camp Diaries was just one of those projects, which kind of then ballooned up because the need for it was much higher. So as I was doing the Teach for India Fellowship, which is pretty intensive by itself, I was also working on Camp Diaries, which the intention was to reach maybe 2, 3 schools with the help of volunteers and teach them extracurricular and co-curricular skills until they become independent learners. Initially, I thought I will reach 3 schools and I will feel great about myself that I had contributed to the society and that during my fellowship I had created something which mattered. But little did I know the whole thing was going to go in a very significant direction. During my fellowship, we already were based out of 4 cities. We had already worked with more than 1,000 volunteers. We had already impacted more than 2,500 kids. And that kind of gave me a, a motivation to kind of continue.
Mhm, mhm.
And so what I did instead is I wanted to learn how to run an entire school by itself. So I applied to the jobs that Teach for India gives you access to, and one such job was of a school leader for a PPP school, so a public-private partnership school, which gives free education, but and it's based in a government school building, but everything else is private, right? The teachers are private. So I am the principal. I recruit every teacher. I decide how we teach, what we teach. But finally, the exams that they write are the same exams that a government school child would write, right? So that is what was going on. And then when I shifted to Pune. I left Camp Diaries with my co-fellows from Teach for India, who still had one more year of their fellowship remaining, Sanskriti, Joel, and a few others, and they took care of Camp Diaries for an entire year. And I never had to kind of check and figure out what's going on because they were, selflessly just taking care of everything. But while that was getting done, I was I teach schools, and I was there as an acting school leader and taking care of everything from recruiting the teacher to government relations to NGO partnerships to the donor relations to curriculum to assessments to creating goals for your school, measuring them. So it's an exhausting thing for a person who has never done it before. See, most principals have seen it enough and then they become principals. I was just a person who taught for a couple of years and now suddenly I was the principal. So I did not know the administrative side as well. So it took a lot of time out of my schedule. So I used to have, I mean, officially the hours were only 10, 12, but my my personal effort and everything all put together went up to 16, 18 hours a day. So that kind of took a toll on my body and my health. And by the end of my first year, I kind of dropped out, and I came back and I took up Camp Diaries. And at the same time, very randomly, for the first time, I think I was checking my Facebook others folders for the first time in life, and there was a message from Colosseum Media, who takes care of MTV Roadies, which said, "Hey, we are looking at doing a 16th season, which is called Real Heroes. So we are looking at people who have contributed to the society, and we read a couple of articles about you. If you are interested, let us know." Initially, I wasn't very sure because I did not see myself on television. I did not see how a social worker would be presented on set on television. But then my elder brother, who happens to be the smartest person I know, uh, told me that, Milind, so far you have impacted 5,000 kids. If you just end up going on this show, you can count on it that it's going to increase your impact by 10 times at least, because that's how many youth watch the show. And I think that was my motivation to take it up. Um, and I have been true to my word. Once I came out of the show, um, I created a volunteer sign up form, and we got 12,000 plus volunteers sign-ups from across the country. So we chose the 10 cities that we wanted to work out of, and we have expanded to 10 cities now. And the first 6 months it went smooth, and then the pandemic hit us.
Hmm.
So during the pandemic, all the cities who were fairly new and who were just about learning how to do the Camp Diaries work in all the cities, they suddenly kind of got they had to adapt to an online scenario, but they did that also really well. We also worked out of orphanages then, and we gave them online skill building across all our cities. And it's been phenomenal to watch my volunteers and my leads create this impact which I alone could never have envisioned, right? So
Hmm.
something that I always keep wondering is that how easy is it to make a change when you have people with you, and how hard it is. No matter how amazing you are, you cannot do anything if you don't have people who are willing to join you in your cause. And I think that ways I've been very lucky to get a lot of right volunteers, a lot of right leads, and a lot of right people to, even the donors. People have seeked out and reached out to us and said, "Hey, we want to give you the money." So it's been phenomenal that way, and which is why when I say when people say Milind has impacted 8,000 kids, I say no, no, no. If I were doing it alone, I might have impacted maybe 200-300. That is about it, because that is humane. But 8,000 kids, you do it because there is a team.
Yeah.
There is a set. There is an army, at doing the change. And I think that is one big support that I have had. So yeah, we've been able to impact around 8,000 kids in these 10 cities so far. Pandemic is almost over, so hopefully next year we are going to go physical again, and things are going to get better. Now, what does Camp Diaries do exactly? We go to a government school. We take 200 kids from grade 5 to grade 9, and we train them in all the skills in the first weekend. So 4 extracurricular and 4 co-curricular skills: dance, drama, musical instruments, and art and craft are the extracurriculars.
Okay.
Public speaking, coding, brain games, science experiments are the co-curriculars.
Okay.
So first week, every child goes through all 8 activities. Then they choose 2 extracurriculars and 2 co-curriculars that they would want to stick with.
Hmm.
In the second weekend, they go into the 4 activities that they've chosen. They go in depth in those activities. And then after 2 hours of each of these, now they choose one extracurricular and one co-curricular that they would like to become independent learners in the course of 6 weekends. Then sixth weekend is when we are done and we do a showcase. Showcases for their parents, for their school, for their friends, and for them to gain that confidence that, hey, I just started learning this and now I can perform. So I'm getting good at it. Um, and it's a huge task for our volunteers, to be honest. And I have a lot of respect for everyone who has stayed with us for a long, long time, because every weekend, it's almost every day 8 hours. hours. So they're volunteering on a Saturday. They come at maybe 9 or 10, and they stay there till 4 or 5. Same on the Sunday, and then repeat. Right. So it's not an easy volunteering job, and some people have stayed with us for 2.5 good years, and I have huge respect for people like that, and even people who just give us 3 months, because those 3 months are from their heart. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that's what we do, and we make them independent learners in the activities chosen by them. Chosen is the keyword here, because no other organization in India, first of all, gives access to all the possible activities, and then even if they do, they don't let you choose. They might create a situation which makes you believe that you're choosing, maybe by making you answer question answers, but you're still not choosing while answering question answers. What if you don't even know what some of the activities are? So we expose them to the activities, we give them hands-on practice, and then we make them choose, what do you want to really do. So I think that's something we pride ourselves upon. Our curriculum is very well thought through. So something we try to do, and we haven't, I wouldn't say this is something we do each time completely, but we what we try to do is we identify the community problems. If let us say the community problem is gender discrimination, then all our dramas, all our dance, all the art and craft, everything would be themed around gender discrimination. That is one effort that we want to take consciously, at least going forward. In the past, we haven't been able to keep up 100% with it. But in going forward, I think that is going to be one more core value that we would like to hold true to. So yeah, that's what we do, and
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
my work. And last thing, I will be pursuing my MBA for the sake of my family's mental peace. Finally, this year, so they have been after me for a good 4 or 5 years now, and nothing wrong in that. They think, see, each of us knows a way to live, and we try to live that way, and we try to guide others also to live that way. Our parents, who have worked very hard to get where they are, they believe that education is the only thing that kind of gives you that upper edge. So
Yeah.
they believe in pushing me for that upper edge, and I bought this time by each year writing CAT, each year I wrote ZAT, all the other exams. Each year I tried to secure at least 99th percentile in all the exams. Each year I tried to get selected in most of the colleges. And then they kind of saw that, okay, he's still not dumb. He will figure it out when he has to. So this year I might finally go for my MBA, finish it off from either IIM, Ahmedabad, or ISB. And once that is done, I will be back full time or part time to the social sector. Let's see.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah, great, great. I think it's a wonderful kind of intro you gave and completed. Take up a lot of questions in that, and it's really, really good that doing this work. Really inspiring. That I think that the work through which I got to know you for that. Again, it's really wonderful you do for the community, Milind. Yeah. So just this question I wanted to ask you is how do you this thing you help students, but what's the benefit that students have through learning the curriculum which you help learn them? So what's the bigger goal, bigger picture in the future for them? That's yeah.
Hmm. So the bigger picture that we envision is multiple fold. One big thing that we take out of this is we are giving them access to dreams that only upper middle class and above can dream of. A guitar class is not cheap at all. A dance class is not cheap. Coding is just unimaginable for a child from a lower income community. So I think one vision is giving them access to the dreams, which could then eventually lead to opening up more opportunities for them. What if someone is born to be a dancer and never got access to it, but then we came along, taught them dancing. So we also then, what we do after our camps are done at one school, we select 5% students and give them professional skill building, which means we give them professional classes.
Mm.
So then some kids who just want to become dancers or coders, or one of the activities that we do, we will push them, guide them, and support them to reach there. So that's one way, that's one part of our vision. Another thing that we see is, everyone deserves to have a normal life, and you and I have been. What did we really do to be born in these houses, right?
Yeah.
What did I do in my previous life? I have no clue if it exists. But for some reason, I was born in a home which gave me every possible thing that I could think of, um, and because of which I never had to worry about the basics. But after working with these kids, I've realized that they have to worry about such small things that normal is not at all normal for them, right? And which is where when Camp Diaries comes in, they give them a new idea of normal uh, when you are stressed or when you're going through some turbulence in your life. You might have an activity that you fall back upon. For me, that would be playing the guitar or working out or doing something. For you, that might be maybe singing or creating art. For someone, that might be dancing. These kids will never get access to these activities. How will they even know that, they don't necessarily need to react in a negative way. They can heal themselves within themselves by just doing something else, right?
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
think that is one more thing. So emotional stability and spiritual stability is also something that we like to think that we are providing to the kids. But long term vision would be that, there are so many organizations that work in the academics direction. So people teaching math, English, science, and for sure that is one of the most important things. Not going to deny that. But I feel like unless you couple that with us, neither of us is doing the complete job. Like that organization, if they just teach math, science, and English, and we don't exist, then their job is half baked. Vice versa, if just we exist and they don't exist, our job is half baked.
Okay.
So I think it's us coupling with these organizations, creating the complete holistic impact.
Hmm.
Alone, the way I said it, right? Even within our organization, I can't do everything. I need volunteers. As a larger system, also our organization cannot do everything. We need other organizations to take care of other smaller processes.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. And this how does the parents react when you introduce them to such things when they which could help their children? How is the response of parents when they learn and know about such initiatives and such work happening?
Uh, so one thing that I think you and I and everyone watching this video will know about parents is parents always want the best for their kids.
Hmm.
Now, it is their version of best that they want, right? So most parents, no matter which strata they come from, they think and they know that the more exposure the child gets, the better. Most of them. However, a good proportion also believes that academics is the only thing that sets you apart, but most people believe in exposure no matter which income strata you come from. So a lot of the parents that our children come from, they actually enjoy the fact that their children are getting access to guitar classes or drama classes or dance classes for free of cost. They are getting to learn coding. Some of them are solving Rubik's cube in less than a minute, and all of this reflects upon the academics of the child as well, right? So think about a child who has been written off by the teachers and written off by the class, and the child has been told you're no good, and the child has lost all the confidence, and suddenly we come along, and in our brain games class, this child happens to be that one child who solves the Rubik's cube the fastest. Now gradually this child is going to start believing that he can, and he's going to start working harder at math, at science, English, and that's how improvement happens. And how do I know this? This is exactly what happened in my class, as a Teach for India fellow. My students gained more confidence doing the activities than they did by teach when I taught them exact subject. So when I taught them math, if they would have gained 10% confidence after doing dance, they gained 20 more percent confidence to do that math. That,
Hmm.
oh, okay, if I could do this, then I'm not all bad, then I'm capable of more. It's that confidence that comes in, and I think parents also see that happen. So parents mostly are very happy. some parents for sure are always going to be skeptical of such thing, and then again that comes from their exposure in life,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's okay as well.
Hmm, hmm. And this, what was?
And
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
one one story that I'd like to share is my biggest takeaway from Camp Diaries. Rather than take away, my proudest moment out of Camp Diaries is my children, who were my students when I was a Teach for India fellow. They came up to me one day and they said, "Bhaiya, there are some other students in our community who don't have access to Camp Diaries. Why don't you teach them?" I said, "Beta, it's hard to get access because they are not. Some of them are not enrolled in schools at all. Some are out of other schools. We have limited resources, so we have to decide where to give them." So my children said, "Okay, what if we come up with a plan?" And
Mm.
that was the birth of something they called Children's Camp Diaries (CCD), and their CCD serves better coffee than the real one.
Yeah.
Their CCD impacted 500 kids of their own already. So they
Okay.
have, and how have they impacted? They have been the volunteers who taught. So my students who learned dance from us were teaching dance to other
Yeah.
kids. My students who learned guitars from us taught guitar to other kids, etc. So on and so forth. And you should have seen the first camp. So they invited me to the first camp and they gave me two instructions. Instruction number one: enjoy, click a lot of pictures, have fun. Instruction number two: do not intervene. No matter what's going on, it's not your responsibility to take
Visibility.
take care.
Mhm.
So it's and by the end of the day, I actually cried. There's a picture of me, bowing down to them and crying and saying, "This is what real change looks like." Because my 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 achievement out of Camp Diaries will not be the 8,000 kids that my my volunteers and I have impacted. It would be these children who have become change makers at an age when most of us are just loitering around.
Yeah. Yeah.
In their seventh and eighth grade, they became change makers and impacted 500 kids. I think that is going to be the proudest thing that I have out of Camp Diaries.
Hmm, hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Really agree to that again. That's wonderful. That's wonderful, Milind. Knowing that, yeah, of course, impact has its own role, and when you do things which create impact, that's huge. It's wonderful. And Milind, this one thing again. How big reach did real in this MTV Roadies Real Hero gave you? How much big reach did it give you and help you? How did you reach to more people with that?
I think I already mentioned that we got about 12,000
Yeah.
volunteer applications from across India. Apart from that, I think it gave me a good social media reach, which even today allows me to make people more aware about social work, share about Camp Diaries work, etc. Although of late I have not been doing it as much because I'm a little short on time, but gave me access to a good almost 1 lakh people who actively try to engage with what I have to say and why I have to say it. So um, yeah, I mean, MTV Roadies Real Heroes was a blessing in disguise. Maybe not even a disguise, but it was a blessing.
Okay, okay, okay. And this the way you took me around from all the things you did and achieved. What did you learn? From being a volunteer, then being a principal, then opening your own organization, and teaching kids and helping kids, and doing different kind of things and going to MTV Roadies. It's pretty much different things you experienced. What does that make you learn, and what does it make you believe about yourself?
So different learnings from different aspects. From social work, my biggest takeaways are going to be one: every problem that you have um, is negligible when you look at real problems in the world. So when you fret upon petty issues um, such as a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or scoring lesser marks in one particular exam, or not looking good enough, or not having good enough clothes, or when you fight with your parents because they intervene too much in your life, etc. such petty problems when you look at the reality that most people in India go through. My students have seen their parents, pass away left, right, and center, including some of them have seen their parents kill themselves in front of them. So when you see all of that, you get a lot of context towards life. You realize that why do I keep complaining? I have nothing to complain about. All I have is to be grateful about. So my one big takeaway is always be grateful. And the second big takeaway when my children came up with the idea of CCD, um, and I think otherwise also, my second big takeaway is you have to be a learner always. You can never be full of yourself. You can never go ahead and say, now I know this. Like even today in social work, I am still struggling. I am still struggling in how to build a great organization culture. I'm still struggling in raising the right kind of funds. I'm still struggling in recruiting the right kind of people, figuring out processes that is going to make my organization sustainable for the next 50 years. A thousand things I still don't know, and I have been here a good 4.5, 5 years now. So one thing that I know is you can never know everything. So please be a learner. So when I meet someone and if I know they know two things that I might not know, I'm going to talk to them about those two things first and then the rest, right? I'm going to sit them down and be like, tell me about this, tell me more about this. And a lot of people find that strange because I ask too many questions and poke them too much about, but why do you do this? Why don't you do this? And, but it's just the learner in me that my
Yeah.
kids have kind of made me. And that is my second takeaway from social work. From MTV Roadies and TV as a whole, my takeaway is no matter how amazing you are or how amazing a work you do, without reach, you will always be you will always be in a pond.
Hmm.
And once I got that reach is when I realized what reach truly means
Means.
and what it does when you get it. Uh, so I feel like we keep complaining so much about social media and technology nowadays, but that is what has given us this kind of reach. So it's up to us if we leverage the tools provided to us or misuse them. And as a whole, I really appreciate TV, movies, and the entertainment sector for gradually moving into the right kind of topics like MTV Real Heroes. Nobody expected roadies to go ahead and do something which would impact the society. It was just an entertainment show, but they did it anyway, and they continued this year with Revolution. So I'm glad that people are taking ownership in their own ways. Not everyone can go step down and leave their job and everything and start doing social work. You can also create an impact another way, and I think it's phenomenal what these guys did that year. And a lot of other shows and TVs and movies have started to do that nowadays. And my big takeaway is you need the reach. You need to teach people. You need to tell people what you do and how you do it, and you need the reach. Uh, and from the MBA and IT sector, I think that's a very generic learning, so I won't share it. But from the MBA and writing it every year, it's not as hard as these exams are not as hard as they appear. You just need to be in a peaceful mindset, and I always was in a peaceful mindset because I was seeing so much chaos around me. The exam never overpowered my head and made me believe, oh my god, what will I do if this doesn't go through? That is the one thing that breaks the exam for half the people, because during stress most of us make mistakes. So I think that worked really well for me because since I have become so grateful, I ended up not worrying or fretting about my exam, and then they went really well. But MBA as a whole, I think you should do it after 4 or 5 years of work experience, because then you actually know why you need it.
Hmm.
Then you actually know what value would it add to your lifestyle, and what change would it do. For example, right now an MBA will help me how to run a lot better organization, and which is why I am up for it.
Okay. Okay. Mhm. Yeah. So this again, one more question just to do, ask you up here for that. What do you how do you see the future of Camp Diaries going, and is there going to be any kind of halt to the the organization, or the way you are trying to work with, because of your MBA or something, or is gonna be continuously working, going on, non-stop?
Camp Diaries will never stop. It will keep growing. It will keep expanding. There'll always be employees taking care of things. They will always have me as a supporting hand and volunteer. But I believe that Camp Diaries is not defined by Milind Chandwani, as much as people have made me the face of it. But I think Camp Diaries is defined by the work that the organization and the volunteers do, and that will always keep going on in some way or the other. In the long term, I hope that we can reach villages. I hope that we can reach areas where no one else can reach, and teach things that no one else can teach, so that eh, we level the playing field for everyone. But let's see what happens in the future.
Okay, okay, sure. So now I think we covered pretty much. Okay, so before we get into the fun part, last one more question to you, Milind, is what would be a message to anybody watching this, or anybody who wishes to create an impact on the society or wishes to make a change? What would be your message to them?
Uh, yeah, I always say this, no matter where I'm speaking. I always tell people, please do what you can. Some people have enough resources that they can give the resources, which could mean money or just stuff. Some people have enough time at their hands and they can give time. So please volunteer. Some people can give neither but can still give support by sharing things and spreading the word. Please do that. Believe me, social sector is going to create the change that is going to impact you very directly. If organizations like Teach for India do not exist, uh, millions of students will not get access to holistic education or education at all, proper education, and they are going to end up being dropouts. And the people that we do not like today on the streets, the goons or the thieves, or people who have who don't know how to behave properly, and those things bother us a lot when we go out. Well, guess what? No one helped them. No one ever guided them to. No one showed them any better.
Hmm.
And that's where so many organizations such as Teach for India, I Teach, Akanksha, are going and paving the right path for these students who will then become successful and change the life of their future generations as well. So anyone who thinks that this social work doesn't impact them directly, they are wrong. There will be lesser people on the streets. There will be lesser people uh, who do not know how to behave properly. There will be lesser people who will not be enough. Everyone would be enough, and then it's a choice. That people would make, that I want to do this and I want to do that. But I believe that it impacts everyone, so everyone should do whatever they can. Preferably, everyone should try volunteering at least once in their life, uh, for at least a year, and that's what kind of gives you the right experience of what to do in life. But if you can't, if you have made yourself believe that you are so short on time that you can't even give 2 hours a week, then maybe I will agree with you. Then at least figure out the resources or at least share things. uh, how much will you use? There's no end to needs, right?
Yeah.
People, like people who are earning 5 lakh rupees a month also go broke by the end of the month sometimes, and people who earn 5,000 rupees a month also go broke by the end of the month. You are going to go broke by the end of the month. Might as well donate 5,000 rupees out of the 5 lakhs or 1 lakh or whatever, right? So
Hmm.
I personally believe it's not okay to not contribute in some way, given the magnitude of problems in our country, and given the fact that our country is not as politically stable as we would want it to be. I think we all need to step up rather than complain about इसने ये नहीं किया, उसने वो
It's not
नहीं
one
किया. I
yeah.
think we need to take things up.
Yeah. Yeah, really true, really true. Again, so yeah, 5 quick questions I would like to ask you, Milind. First thing is, what's the best advice you got from someone, like from anybody, maybe your father, your brother, or anyone?
Hmm. Hmm. That's a question I've never thought of.
Okay.
But I get a lot of advice from people, and I generally respect all kinds of advice because it comes from experience.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I think I like the advice that my parents and my brother are pushing me towards right now, that get an education so that you never have to worry about a job in the future. Even if you're doing social work for the next 20 years, that degree is what's going to get you another job. And I think that's a good advice. Um, Another advice is something that my manager at Teach for India used to tell me: don't be so full of yourself. There is enough pain in the world, and you have no clue that yours doesn't even begin to be called pain. So
Yeah.
don't be so full of yourself. Don't think you are doing them a favor. Don't think you are teaching the kids and giving them something. No, you are receiving.
Hmm.
You are healing yourself in the process. You are the one changing day in and day out when they are making you change. So my manager used to tell me this. I think this is a brilliant advice, because when people get into social work, even volunteering, they think they are the ones doing the kids a favor, or the elderly or the animals. They think they are the ones doing a favor, but no. At the end of it, who's the one feeling a lot better? It's you. At the end of it, who's the one who's going to click a selfie and post everywhere? It's you. So
Yeah.
when you're getting all that benefit, I think it's safe to say that nothing is a selfless deed. So don't think of yourself as this selfless human being, and it's okay to be selfish when you're doing it for others.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Great. So, and the worst advice you would, of course, you said I respect everybody's advice, but one advice you think was the worst which you got.
Worst advice that I ever got. I honestly cannot think of anything.
Okay.
Honestly, from the core of my heart, I think very recently someone gave me an advice that, hey, why do you want to do love marriage and all? Like whenever I do plan to get married, not right now, but they were like, why love marriage? Parents will find good people. That's the worst advice.
Okay.
If you have found someone, then why would you kind of still go ahead and marry a stranger in the future?
True. True. Yeah. Yeah. And next question is advice you would have given to yourself when you would be 18, like to your 18-year-old self. Now you're, I think, around 26 or 27. What would be advice? Milind of 18. Yeah.
I'm 29 now.
Oh, okay.
Advice to the million of 18 is, don't be so hard on yourself. Not everyone hates you. Not everyone is judging you. Not everyone is looking at you and thinking, oh, look at him. Oh, he doesn't look good enough. Oh, he's not smart enough. No, most people don't even care.
Yeah.
People are okay with it. People are coexisting. Don't be so hard on yourself all the time. I used to pressurize myself to look a certain way, perform a certain way, work a certain way, speak a certain way. And I think that kind of pressure also builds up and then comes out in different ways. So I would just ask myself to release the pressure. And another advice: start volunteering, dude. You're 18.
Yeah.
At the age of 18, I didn't start volunteering. I started at 21 or 22. So I would tell myself, don't wait. It's not okay to wait.
Hmm. Okay, so this when we confirmed the date, I asked a lot of my friends what would be your question to Milind, and everybody was there's a lot of two questions which I got. Ki Milind sir, apne body kaise bana? This is the one question I got. So how did you make your body? Please tell the people who are crazy for your body. Please tell them that.
I don't, now I don't have abs and stuff anymore. I used to, but when I did work out back in the day, when I lost 30 kgs, I used to be an obese kid. I used to be bullied a lot. उस वक्त I think it was a lot of effort from everyone. My mother started taking care of my meals. My father started dropping me to the gym whenever I needed to. My coach used to train me a lot. My girlfriend back at that point kind of was my inspiration, that I need to look a certain way to fit her criteria of the ideal man. So I think I worked really hard. I used to spend around 1 hour 15 minutes in the gym every day, no matter what I was doing, and I used to control my meals. I mean, reducing your body weight or constructing a certain kind of a physique has all to do with just your calorie deficit. If you want to lose weight, you eat lesser than your recommended calories and you work out, and that's all, you will lose weight. And vice versa, if you want to gain weight, you eat more calories than your recommended and you work out a little bit lesser, or if you do guided workout and you will gain weight. So uh, it's not very hard to do it. It's just that push that you need, that motivation. So
Hmm.
personally, my recommendation to anyone who wants to lose weight is find your reason first. Find that motivation, write it down, stick it on the wall. If that reason is, I don't want my classmates to call me Mota anymore, then write that down in the boldest letters and stick it on the wall everywhere, so that each time you're thinking of eating a chips packet, or each time you're thinking of skipping a workout, you look at that wall and you're like, no, but I don't want people to call me Mota anymore, so I think I need to go ahead and work out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not very hard, but yeah, I mean, I can understand what people feel, when they are not in their best shape. Some see, shape is still in your control. For some people, color becomes a problem, right? And our society, not just our society, I think the world is
Yeah.
so, for lack of a better word, racist, and they always keep looking at a person's color, and there are always jokes, there are always generalizations, there are always uh, comments, and color is not in a person's control at all.
Yeah.
And yet these people kill themselves over it. They apply all sorts of creams, they do all kinds of surgeries. For what? To please people. So more than doing something, even for weight loss or for any other insecurities that you have, my first suggestion would be, um, ask yourself the right kind of questions. Why does it matter?
Hmm.
Does it really matter if I look this way? Does it really matter if people make fun of me? And if it does, how much of it is really in my control? If it's not, then it's not worth, you know, pressurizing yourself over it. So if weight is under your control, you should try to, do whatever you can about it. But color is not,
Not.
height is not. You can't be stressing upon these things.
Yes, yes, really true. And the second question, I got a lot. कि मिलिंद sir आप आविका मैम से किससे मिले? I'm like, I was like crazy. These questions are, I was crazy about these questions. कि इतने सारे, I think I asked around maybe 20 people, and 20 people, I think 15 of them asked this. कि ask him वो कैसे मिले? How did they meet? And what's the, all the story behind? So please tell that also. Oh,
It's a simple story, to be very honest. I was out with a friend who is also from the Telugu film industry, Teju, and we met Avika there. But that was just a hi hello kind of a meet. More than that, Avika is a very kind person, so she offered to help us, which means Camp Diaries, to go forward, and offered to help us reach more people, offered to help us raise funds. She offered to even, you know, host us in her house when we were recruiting new leads. So uh, she's been very kind that way, and I think that's how I met her, and that's how we just ended up spending too much time together, and ended up realizing that we are two people who are very similar and maybe should try to coexist.
yeah. That's okay. Yeah, really, Milind, again. Thank you very much for your time. It was wonderful knowing everything about you. It's lovely that you do good things for the society, and I think world needs more people like you who wish to do good things for everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me over, man. Very,
Thank
very nice questions and very well executed. I
thank you.
hope to
Thank you
see
very
you
much.
soon.
Thank you.
See you, man.